Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm finally back on here. It's been about a month, and yeah, we've just finally starting to land and integrate and stabilize and starting to understand that like huge whirlwind of an eclipse, the most powerful eclipse of our lifetime. And we had a really intense experience with it. I was shown a lot and felt a lot and saw a lot. And so I think what I'm going to do though is just jump into the cards because I'm not really, there's like so many pieces and I don't know what's relevant for, for the collective or what's most important to come through today. But I am really feeling that collectively we are in a very, very different space. So yeah, let me pull an overall energy and we'll just see what I'm guided to talk about as we move along here. I feel like I'm a completely different person, so it'll be interesting to do this reading and just see what comes up. Oh, that was nice. It fell off the table, but it landed on a chair. All right. Oh, wow. Okay, so Antelope Spirit Life is speeding up. Well, yes. Okay. Just going to keep going here until I get a story and see where this wants to go. Two card, definitely a collaboration type of energy. One of the things that, I guess I will talk about this. One of the things that seemed really apparent to me, especially right now, is what a huge, like this, what a huge forward movement onto the higher timeline this eclipse was for us. However, I felt like we were all playing our separate roles. So again, that collaborative effort where it seemed like some people were really holding that higher space, that higher light, and some of us, a lot of people with a lot of like clearing and purging from their own individual lives, a lot of us doing that no matter, which space we were holding, but, through your lineage or through your Kosh or through your personal journey. And then there were others of us that were doing that as well, but really doing a lot of clearing and collapsing of timelines within the wider, multi-layered, multi-dimensional multiverse, where my daughter and I were interfacing with some really, really dark energies. And what was illuminated to me throughout all of this was there were certain individuals, and a lot of them that I was aware of were younger people, the younger generation. So my daughter's 17, but I was hearing around the time of the eclipse of a lot of autistic kids that really didn't have the capacity. Like my daughter, she's a starseed and she's wired differently and all that, but she's not, she's not on the spectrum, and she has the capacity to kind of like, track and be aware and function. But I know some of the kids, some of the really, really special, high vibrational people that are here on the planet right now, coming in, signing up to, it was so painful to witness and hold space for, because they were literally being held in these darker energies, like really, really dark energy. And so my daughter and I are very telepathic. We kind of share a mind space, and we've been journeying together for a really long time. So I enmeshed with some of this energy as well and felt it, which of course everything's in service of the light. So I was able to feel it and understand it to the point where I could be a better guide and anchor for her. But so I went through something like this 2.5 years ago, and I was interfacing with the reptilian energy, which is, you can hear about this stuff externally. Like it's been about 10 years that I've been aware of the darker agendas on this planet and what the agendas are, and how they play out in society and all these things. So it's been like 10 years of like going down all these rabbit holes and then realizing, okay, the alignment is what's important, and this whole journey with this. But it's another thing to interface with it really viscerally, and where it's literally infiltrating your energy field or infiltrating your mind. Like for her, it would be similar or exactly like the voice to skull technology or mind mapping or that kind of thing, where there's literally just stuff going on, these mind control programs and interfacing. And so what she was dealing with, and still is, but she's understanding it now, or understanding how to maneuver with this, would be the insectoids, which are much darker. I didn't know this, I just learned this, much darker than the reptilians, in terms of the agenda, like the remote control humans, all this. Some of you might think that I'm just crazy and went into psychosis, and some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But to experience it really viscerally was just really terrifying, because there is, when that overlay comes, it's like you feel like you're trapped in it. You feel the agenda. You feel it's almost like an overlay that's placed over you, where you're seeing what they want. You're seeing what they want, and you're feeling it. They're trying to get you to help create it, and just the ability to the requirement, necessity, to hold on to the higher trajectory, hold on to your divinity, hold on to your light while in that place is really, really hard. It wasn't even my trial. I was just the space holder, and I was seeing snippets of it. And luckily, not luckily, it's all written, but with my journey with the reptilian energy 2.5 years ago, learning how to kind of deal with that, I knew how to maneuver. But for her, this was her initiation, this was her trial, this was her service. And so what I kept seeing was that she was literally being held in that energy for a certain amount of time. Like, we weren't allowed to really understand or know what was going on, to know how to maneuver, until after the eclipse. And we had even had a dear friend that said that to us. Like, she's psychic and gets information and has gone through something similar herself, and she was saying, you're not going to know until after the eclipse. And that's, it just matched up with what I was feeling. Like, she was supposed to be held in this. So in terms of like the other kids, what I was seeing, we were both seeing these like circles, where there were like these bright lights held inside this circle of density and darkness, where from a certain perspective, a victim consciousness, or one where we're not responsible for everything that happens in our lives, you can think, that's terrible, all these children, and they're being held there, and what the heck, but it was like, they signed up for this. Their souls are huge, they're wise, they're powerful. I could never have done what she was being asked to do, and what she has done and is doing. Mine was so mild compared to hers, but I was the guide, I was the anchor, and and just really, really super intense. But so what I was being shown, because I was connected, to sort of like the outcome and the trajectory. So I was really being shown like, no, I had all this faith and all this like, strength up until a certain point. Then I started kind of falling apart and kind of going into it. But that was right when things were about to shift. So I did a huge purge too. All of this linking back up with our past and like other experiences we've had throughout my marriage, and a lot of darkness and stuff throughout her childhood. And so anyway, well, here I am going into all this 7 minutes. And so anyway, so what I was being shown was that, and somebody that we were working with said this to me, and it really made a lot of sense to me, and it really helped me, how in 2012, the configuration between the polarities on this planet, the spiritual battle, the war, the dark and the light, there was a new configuration that came in because of the shift of the ages and what we were moving into. And so it's almost like there were different rules, or like the dark couldn't get away with as much. They were almost like corralled into a new arrangement with the light. Okay. And so I really feel that the same thing happened again with this eclipse. Of course, this specific eclipse was prophesied, through many different traditions, as many of us know, really, really, really powerful. And so I was seeing like, it wasn't a battle, it was like a reconfiguration, and these bright lights being anchored in that density was important, because it almost like, if you're creating a new template for humanity, it's not just humanity, for the cosmos, really, because it goes way, way out beyond Earth, beyond humanity, beyond. Okay, so it's all connected, it's all one thing here, but it's like anchors of light in the darkest of places. So that's where the insectoids come in. The darkest you can go, the most uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, that's not even the right word. Like excruciatingly terrifying, darkest of dark, these bright lights being held in them to anchor the light in the lowest of places while things were being reconfigured. It was almost like, like literally anchors. There was probably such a huge grid of geometry where that went around the planet and beyond, to just hold. Like, I just kept getting the message, like, to tell her, like, hold. I don't know if I said it like that, but that was kind of it. Just like, wait. But then it's hard to also have faith, because you feel like you're drowning. And anyway, it was really, really intense. So anybody that's friends with me on Facebook, I disappeared, and the only thing I was posting was like, help, pray, which is really, really hard. But yeah, and then I have friends, people in my life that are like my personal astrologer, that actually it's my ex-husband, who's not necessarily on my side, but everything's in service. And so, he will always tell me, oh, there's this transit, and there's this transit in her chart. It's like I kind of track it that way as well through Vedic astrology. But yeah, just having to like really trust and have a lot of faith, having faith in the darkest of places. Okay, so that's the extreme. That's a real extreme, but just commenting on that one because, you know, it's really intense and a lot of people don't know that that kind of stuff goes on, but it does. And the service in that and the depth of what we're unraveling on this planet and how some people are really, really doing it on that level. But then also that for us kicked up a lot, like I said, from our past. So it's like, I heard this meme, like, what core wounds should we work on now? And then it was like Aries season. How about all of them at once? You know, and it was just this huge purge. So I know that like everyone, no matter who you are, unless you've really been like, you know, a bodhisattva coming on earth just to hold light, you know, it's like we were really going into a lot of our deepest core wounds, whatever level that came through, whether it came along with, you know, service and dismantling or holding space for this new configuration, or, you know, within our lineage, within our Akash, within our personal life. I know a lot of people that are going through stuff that you're like, what the heck? Like, they've done so much work. They've been so conscious. They've made so many good choices. And it's like the worst nightmare happening, the worst nightmare after all these trials. And you think you like moving on to this higher timeline. And then like the worst of the worst things happening, where I felt like a lot of us were really being tested in our faith, you know, being tested in our faith. And in the end, seeing it, and for a lot of us, it's not quite the end yet, but seeing the ginormous purge, the ginormous healing. Okay, so that all said, where I feel we're at right now. Now things are speeding up after all that like collaborative group effort. I can't get it to show the two, but whatever, you know what a two looks like. And so now things are moving. We're rolling into this higher timeline where, and the other day I was like, okay, it just came to me, you know, it wasn't a thought, it was like a you know, flow of words, but it was like, now, you know, after all this darkness and hopelessness and all my wounds and just feeling like we were drowning and oh my God, you know, it just came in, okay, now is time to allow yourself to be flooded with light. And I was like, oh, okay, because we cleared so much, you know, and we're so wide open. Like I kept feeling like, I don't know what's real. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know if I would ever, I didn't know if I was ever coming back on Facebook or YouTube or videos or anything. I was like, I don't know, am I even going to live? Part of the program with the and then, you know, we worked with this shaman, a remote viewer up in Santa Fe, and so she understood exactly what Erme was going through, because she has gone through it for 30 years, a version of it herself, and knows hundreds of people that, you know, testimonials of people going through the same thing. And one of the programs in this weird unauthorized experiment is like a kill thing, where they always try to get you to kill usually your mother, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, so there was on the 3rd of April, it was like, oh, tomorrow we're going to fully take over your body and we're going to kill your mom. And I knew it was all like a mind control thing just to scare her and like get energy, but you know, it's like we had to go through that, and I had to kind of honor her fear of like, what if that happens, you know, and so really intense. But my friend was like, oh yeah, they say that to everyone, you know, just like, you know, so like the next morning I was like, guess he's still alive, you know, but really fucking intense, you know, and having to hide all the knives just in case, and you know, but then hearing that like, yeah, that's just it's just part of it. That's just like what they say to everybody, you know, and it's just mind control. It's just fear tactics, and so figuring it out. But anyway, I got kind of lost in what I was saying there, what my point was, because it's just a pretty intense thing to share, but it's a reality, and a lot of people don't know about this, and but yeah, it happens. It is happening to a lot of people, but everything is in service to the light. Everything is in service to the light. So anyway, okay, so yeah, bringing the light in after all that clearing, bringing the light in and being, so being really cleared out, allowing things to reconfigure in a way that they couldn't before, where we're taken offline. So that same day, a couple of my one friend used the word, she feels blank, and then another woman was like, yeah, I feel that way too, and then I felt the same way. It's like, you know, you don't know who you are. That's right. I was going to say, I didn't even know if I'd be alive, you know, if I would be alive, but okay, so that's the thing, not knowing who you are, what you're doing, just being really, really blank and empty to a degree. You know, we go through ego deaths and we go through things that kind of shake us up, but it's like traumas, like your worst nightmare traumas that shake you up to the core, where you're just blasted open, and now it feels like time to reconfigure, which is really exciting. Beyond, you know, a level of receiving and reconfiguring beyond what was possible before. Because even if you weren't somebody that was doing these like really, really traumatic, terrifying, intense, whether in the support role or as the starring role, that's what I told her. This is what you signed up for. You know, you have the starring role here. You know, and there were so many people in the community that were helping us, offering services for free, and like just amazing. And even if they didn't understand exactly, or how could anyone really, what she was going through, it's like trusting that the universe brings in what you need through somebody. It's like the universe knows. There's nothing, I heard something recently and I was like, oh yes, there's nothing that goes on in the universe that the divine is not aware of. So whatever you need is coming to you. And so we just kept seeing that over and over and over again. And just the miracle of community and life, and how life is God. Life is God. Life is good, and life saves you even when you've signed up for really intense trials and services. But the point is that even if you're not somebody that has done that, just to know that that has been going on, and that there have been people that have been working on those really deep levels that has helped assist in the reconfiguring of the entire balance. I'm not sure how to say it, like the balance of polarities or whatever it is. I don't fully understand it, but something has been reconfigured where the light is taking off. The light is taking off, and we're moving forward on these journeys. And so you're going to benefit from it, even if you didn't sign up or you weren't called or however it works to do some of the darker, gnarlier work. But to know that some people have, that there are people doing that for all of us, and there are people holding light for all of us, and there are people, like I don't resonate with the whole sheeple thing, or like people that are unawakened, because there has to be people that are still plugged into the system to create stability so that we can still get our groceries or we grow our own food, but whatever, get whatever we need, get the gas, get the whatever, so that we can still function in our lives while we're going through these transitions. So those people signed up for that as well, and that was a service. Like it's really fun to be awakening, and it's really fun to hold the light, and in some ways it's really fun to go into the dark and like dismantle and be a warrior, and whatever role we're signing up for is, it's the right one for us. But I might look at somebody else and be like, I wish I could just be a musician and like create like wonderful vibes for people. Like, why do I have to go face Satan over and over again? But that's what I'm trained for, and but anyway, the people that chose to wake up later, it's like they've sacrificed too. They've sacrificed the joy and ecstasy of awakening to hold that space and be that anchor. So it's like, again, that collaboration. 17 minutes and I finally got to the point of this card. One of the points of this card is that collaboration where we're all playing our part, and it's beautiful, and it's kind of fun to talk about the different roles too, because we might not be aware of them. We might just be stuck in our own, and we might even judge ourselves for our own. But to see that it really is a collaboration, and that everything really is about this ascension, the evolution of humanity, the forward movement, and this is what we're doing. We're moving forward. We're moving forward onto these higher timelines, into this golden age, really, really lighting up right now as we speak. Okay, so let me finally move into the tarot. All right, the Nine of Fire. Yeah, so it's like we're not quite out of the cave yet. We're not quite out of the cave. And I imagine, especially those of you that are the transmuters of the collective, are feeling that as well. It's like I have the light, I see the alignment, I have my alignment back, but I'm not quite out of the cave yet. But I know how to walk this. I know how to get out of this. I'm starting to see. Yeah, and so even if you're not in those denser energies, you might feel that just in the collective. It's like it's starting to feel a bit lighter, but we're still kind of weird. It's still kind of a weird energy. The Ten of Swords. A lot of suffering, but the Ten of Swords in this deck is you can't quite see it through the camera, but this is sort of like a sunrise. Like you're walking out of the nightmare. You're walking out. It's a death and a rebirth card. It's some of the decks, it's all 10 swords in his back, and he's hunched over, and that's not the energy in this card. It's like you're kind of, in a sense, it's like you're walking out of this tunnel, this cave. You have your alignment, and the birds that were just squawking in your ears, and just harassing you, making you feel you're gonna die, are lifting. They're lifting, and you're walking into this new horizon. So this is really a card of rebirth and new beginning. Really beautiful after a dark night of the soul. Okay, so coming out with the Five of Wands. So there it is again, the conflict. The conflict and everything that we were doing in this cave, whether you personally or humanity, or just kind of the collective energy. I don't know about you, but during that eclipse, I was actually in a pool. I was in water. I felt to be in water, and it was like a saltwater indoor pool at our local university with my daughter, and we were humming, and we were underwater humming, and we were like connecting with the dolphins and the whales, and just like through the water element. But the energy was so bizarre. It was just like felt so good to be immersed in water, because it's just like so much heat and strangeness. I felt a similar energy with the Uranus Jupiter conjunction just the other day. I might have felt it a day early, but my daughter and I both, like, around the same time, were like, this feels like the eclipse energy. It was just like another, like, you know, like a lot coming in to get things into place, but, you know, kicking up a lot of conflict, conflict with others as well. Like, I'm finding like I'm having some conflict with a dear friend of like 15 years, and it's really bizarre and kind of shocking and like hurtful and like confusing, and, you know, just like kind of like a mindfuck, kind of like the whole like weird thing my daughter went through was. But it's like, well, this is what this time is about. It's like there's just, you know, and I think a lot of people are just going a little crazy, you know, just going a little crazy, and everybody's stuff is kicked up, and you're working it out with your loved ones. And, you know, Arame and I got in some like pretty gnarly fights just because we didn't sleep. We didn't sleep for like 10 days, you know, like one night I had like 36 seconds of sleep, because even when she would sleep, I would be on call, I would be awake, and anytime she would murmur, I'd be like whispering God codes, because she was just in the dark, you know, and she was held there. And so anyway, we weren't sleeping, and it was just really intense and without any self-care. And then the darkness comes out in you, and, you know, you have to confront these parts of your past, or things you thought you were over and long gone from, and just, you know, and then the shame and like all the things, right? So there's that. There's that. So let me pull another. I don't know how much I'm going to do with the cards. Oh, it's only 20 minutes. We'll see where we go. All right, let's see. What was this? Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, the Nine of Cups. So this is the card of wish fulfillment. This is the card of like getting everything that you want. So really beautiful message. These two cards sandwiching all these conflict cards, you know, where it's like, yes, you know, you went through the tunnel, you're still kind of in it. You went through the, you know, just the extreme suffering, the Thelma and Louise card, where it's like, there's nowhere left to go but into faith. Like, you're pushed so far into a corner, you're either literally going to destroy yourself and those around you, or you're going to leap into faith. And it's like that meme, if we're friends on Facebook, most people watch on Facebook, but it's, I don't know if you've noticed, but the universe is kind of bullying us into enlightenment, right? You know, but that's the point. You know, all of this conflict, despite how incredibly harmful and abusive and horrible and mean and unkind and abandoned you may have felt, leading to this, to our wishes fulfilled. Our wishes fulfilled being living on a planet of peace and love, and again, speeding up and working our way towards that by doing the cleanup within ourselves, the cleanup for the collective, the cleanup for the galactic. You know, some of us have real galactic timelines that we remember. We remember being on planets where, you know, the whole planet was destroyed. A lot of us have Atlantean memories. That's the other thing I wondered if I was going to talk about. But actually, I'm going to keep pulling cards and see if it guides me too, because it's kind of a whole other topic. I don't know if I'm supposed to go into that or not. Okay, let's see what we get here. The Nine of Wands. Okay, so that's this card again. So we get this card twice, kind of completing this row up here. We have still in the cave, still kind of in the battle. It's persevering. It's like, just, you know, stand strong. Look at how strong. Oops, I forgot to turn off my thing. Look at how strong he is. Like, he's just like, I am ready. I am ready for battle. I am ready for my initiation. I am ready for my trial. And this is kind of the energy that Arame's in right now, whereas before, you know, it was just like kind of confusion and having to be held in there and not clear. And now she's like, I know what to do and I know how to do this. And I was like, so do I, you know. So yeah, that kind of energy ending, you know, it's like, we know this is where we're going, and yet we're going to walk this the whole way through. I'm going to pull some oracle cards here. See what we get. Okay, I'm going into the next row. Starting, since I've been doing readings in person in town, I wasn't really doing readings in person. I was doing, and if you'd like a personal reading, I'm starting them back up again. I'm starting sessions again too. If you're in town, I took a break, you know, with all that, but I'm doing sessions, I'm doing readings on Thursdays at Mystic. I'll be down there for the bike races. And if you would like a reading, if you're not in town, I'm still doing the video ones. So online, I don't remember what I was going to say. But anyway, we get, oh yeah, since I've been doing them in town, I'm noticing, because I lay them out neatly, because there are people there, instead of having this big mess all over the place on the table. And I realize there's this whole other communication that goes on when I lay them out in rows. So I guess I'm reading a little differently now. So we get the card Upheaval. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Just noticing that darkness. What are these? They're sheep. Interesting. Yeah, it's like here's the meek, here's the most innocent, the most light filled, kind of being in this darker thread, and yet it still has its purpose. It's still part of the whole. The darkness forgot that it's a part of God too. It turned away and thought it was separate, but it's still God. So it's still in service. It's still part of this whole configuration. And then meander, it comes out with meander. It's really interesting because this, the way this, it's kind of like this, but this is kind of how the journey is. That's kind of how the upheaval was. You just have to walk the path. You have to walk the path out, which is again like this, with the Nine of Wands and the Nine of Wands, where it's like we have to keep walking, we have to keep walking it out. But this card is much different than this card. Here's the upheaval, and here's walking our way out. The sun is there. This is very similar to the Ten of Swords that we have here with the sun, the rebirth, where now we're just kind of walking. We're walking out. It's going to be much easier. If you have been going through a hard time, just know the energy that I'm feeling from these cards, but also from just my own perception is that, and look at how this light, it comes the whole way through. It's like the whole path is lit up now. The light is back. You're not the young ones or whoever, if you've been on the support role, or if you've been in this yourself, being held in that darkness, it's being released. Some of us have been held in darkness a lot, throughout our whole lives. Some people, even if you have moments of a break, it's just part of your service. But this really changing, this really shifting, and these light, and like what I was saying, now it's time for the light to flood in. It's flooding in and all these empty spaces. So that's really beautiful. Yeah, the other thing that I do feel that I'm supposed to talk about this. So the timelines, the collapsing of the timelines, and a lot of us with Atlantean memories, Atlantean disaster, or further back from other Earth catastrophes. So here we are with this eclipse linking up, the Hopi prophecy of, all the Earth catastrophes, but this time, we're rising rather than spiraling down into the destruction of the world or humanity or the civilization. Like in Atlantean times, it's like this time there's a rising. It's different this time. But what's really interesting, the reason why I thought that is it reminds me of this dream. My sister and I both had the same dream of this spiral. So here's this spiral, and it were like these marbles going down this spiral, and like she had a lot of grief and was really upset when we were young, and I was really excited, and I kind of feel like I might have been on the wrong side of the downfall. Yeah, it just kind of felt that way, and I think a lot of us are, on the wrong side. But either way, it's like the cycle of the ages, and the grand picture of duality, and playing both light and dark, and understanding it from both sides, merging them together, and just the big picture, the long trek, the long journey of walking our soul through into unity, which is now this time. But what's really interesting is that, during Atlantean times and the other times when civilizations fell, we were in a descending age. So I've used to see this in sessions. Like I think it was maybe like a year ago, a little over a year ago, I started seeing this in sessions, and now it feels relevant again, where like we were on a descending age, so we were in the higher frequencies, and then we were descending. So we come to this point where we're right at the precipice of the fall, right? And we've experienced that many times through our Akash, and then we fall. That marble goes down. We fall. Maybe we wanted to experience. We wanted. We were tired of unity. It was boring. It was boring. We wanted to see what it felt like to have something for ourselves, or some individuation, or whatever. It felt like expansion. It was the new frontier was to move into more individuation. But we ended up destroying ourselves and destroying. Okay, so here we are in the ascending age, ascending, and we're at the same point where we're about to go higher. But it's the exact same frequency and energy of when we were about to go lower. So I feel like that's also a lot of this energy, where we're what we're playing out, whether it's in our individual lives, playing out through our personality, playing out through our storylines, playing out through like our person right here, or whether it's playing out like it did for Arame and I, also on more of a sort of the darker agenda, and the energetics of the darkness. It's still on a deeper level. It's about clearing these times in humanity where we fell, where we fell. So again, again, it's like, we went down here, right? And I know the controllers use a lot of manipulation, not only like they were with Airman in her head, and me through the energy, but also, of course, through, and a lot of us know this, through movies or through, false flags, or just like, you know what I mean? The fear tactics, right? And even creating situations to mimic, catastrophe, or mimic Armageddon, or mimic, the predictions in the Bible, and all this to get us to create a downfall. But it's like, it's not possible. And that's the thing with that which thinks it's separate from God. They think they're separate, and they think that their agendas are going to work because they're not connected to this stream anymore. They can't see that this is an inevitability. They can't see that it's a singularity. They think that whatever their agenda is going to work. And that's what's so frustrating, especially when you're interfacing with them in your head or your energy field. It's like, or even a human that embodies like that. That's, any narcissist or whatever that you might have had in your life. They never think they're going to lose. They can't see, even when it's clear as day. They won't give up, and they won't let go, because they have that arrogance that makes them feel that, like, they're going to win. They're not in connection with the higher source. They've separated themselves from all that is, from God. So they don't know. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I'll just move on. But yeah, the energy of Atlantis and that fall. Yes, the controllers wanting to get us to recreate the fall again, but they don't realize that there's a singularity, and they can't. But they're trying to stall it. They're trying to, like, vamp off, and because they can't stay on the planet once we rise in frequency. So they're doing everything they can, because they're just arrogant assholes, that don't understand. They're not here for all. And so yeah, there's a lot of that. But the main point I was trying to make is that we're feeling that same energy. And so a lot of us going through, if this were a typical 10 of Swords card, where you literally you feel you're just at your breaking point, you feel like you're dying. A lot of that is you're feeling this energy, and you're having these Akashic memories if you're sensitive, and you can feel viscerally, or through remembrance. Because my daughter and I were having a lot of fail stuff. Well, she was mostly because it was her initiation and her service, and I could see it's memories from when you failed before, but you were meant to fail before, because we were in a descending age, and we were experiencing the polarity, because it's the world of polarities. This is a journey. It's a cyclical nature, and it's all written. But that those memories, and feeling but I can't fail now. I can't fail now, because this is the time of the rise. But literally, I can't, as in, if I do, this would be the worst nightmare, and I can't bear the thought of it. But it's also, you can't fail. You cannot fail, because this is the ascending age, and this is the time when we don't. So there were a lot of subtleties in the psyche, and maybe you're still feeling this, and if you are, I hope that I'm making sense, because it's really important, because a lot of it is just memories, and there is a lot of mind control to try to get us to feel hopeless, and to get us to feel despair, and to get us to go crazy, and to get us to fragment within ourselves and within our communities, and play out our darkness, but again, everything is in service to the light, because then we can use that for purification and transmutation. So it's all okay, but it is a crunchy moment when you bump up against that energy from the past, and you worry that you could fail, or maybe you're even feeling the guilt, like I did, of I think I was a part of that downfall. I think I made bad choices. Well, bad choices. I made choices that created an event, and part of our history, part of, I don't know if I did or not. Maybe I just like to blame myself because I know it existed. I don't know, but mostly just because of that dream my sister and I had, where I was excited, and she was full of grief. But anyway, I'm not sure about that, but I do know that a lot of us have that grief and guilt and pain, and it can almost paralyze you, where you feel like you can't move forward. You're remembering something, but you don't know what you're remembering, and it can go that far back and farther back. That's as far back as I can relate to, but I know there's, Tiamat and what was Mars, and I've also, through Akashic readings, have been told that I've been on planets where the whole planet exploded. I wasn't responsible for it, but I wasn't able, I was battling and fighting almost like Star Wars, and I wasn't able, we didn't win. So a lot of us, maybe all of us, have this in our memory, whether we remember it or not. We might feel it viscerally. When I was going through my journey with the reptilian and feeling that energy, it's like I was having so many visceral memories. I've mentioned this before, but you might be new here, and if you are, hi, welcome. Yes, this is how I am. But it was during our monsoon season, part of it, and when there were really high winds, I would go into a panic because it's like I was viscerally remembering the Earth catastrophe and the flooding and all these things. I've dreamt of tsunamis my whole life, so a lot of us are kind of haunted by the last time, the last time we were in these energies and the fall. But it's like this, so main point, this is when we rise. This is the shift of the ages. This is the end of Kali Yuga. This is moving into the golden age. So to be aware that sometimes those terrifying energies and memories and feelings and fears are because of the frequency that we're at, and it brings up, just reiterating, brings up a visceral memory of things we don't quite remember. We don't know what it is, but here's a perspective around that. And again, I see it a lot in sessions. I see it in people's lungs, just some of that, like sometimes fear of moving forward, fear of our own power, fear of hurting people, all these things we can meet on the threshold. Okay, so I'm at 35 minutes. I'm going to pull, let's see here, I'm going to pull from... I might not worry about the time, if you get tired of listening to me, just, of course, turn me off. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on. So, all right. So, Goddess of the Moon Oracle. Pleasure. That's interesting. So that goes nicely with Nine of Cups. And this is how my personal readings have been. I wasn't like reading cards for myself at all. If I ever pulled anything, it would be like in the middle of the night with, for Aramay, like just, I didn't even exist. I just merged with her and was just like, until I completely crashed. But lately I've been reading and I keep getting these similar messages where it's like, yes, girlfriend, it's been hard, and yes, you've been through the tower moment and the cracking open of the light, but there's always this kind of message along with it where it's like, it's all for this. We're coming back into the light. We're coming back into, we had to be held in those darker places to clear for ourselves, to clear for the world, to clear for the lineage, and now we're moving back into the sun, the light, the new beginnings. And what I keep feeling is, because of this sort of like blank mind where it's like I can't really see anything, I don't even really know. I just feel light. I just feel faith. I feel hope. I feel very happy in the moment, like little things. I've always kind of been that way, but little things are really making me very, very happy, partially because I haven't been able to enjoy them for about a month. But yeah, just the pleasure in life itself. But what I keep feeling is that what we're moving into is beyond what we can even fathom, just beyond what we can even fathom. And that's all I can really say about it. I don't have any, because it's again that like blank mind where there just aren't any thoughts on it. That's just all I can feel right now, is that there's something coming that's beyond what a lot of us have experienced, whether you've experienced yourself or not. There have been energies of people experiencing things on the planet that have just been so dark and beyond anything that even seems fair. I know there's always been war and all kinds of atrocities all along, but it just seems like a lot of people in service, in ways that are just, beyond what we would even think would be functional. And so because of that, what's coming in is beyond as well. That's what I feel for humanity. So, okay, so I'm going to pull a little bit more, and then I might actually wrap up. I usually like to use all my decks, but I think that's not necessary. It's not necessary. So let me pull from the Slavic Traditions Tarot. Okay, so there we go. So we're moving into the beautiful positive messages, the Two of Cups. It's a really beautiful Two of Cups. It's just so earthy, and again, kind of what I was saying about just like really like with the pleasure, really enjoying the simplicity, the nature. I was in the forest yesterday. It was just the most beautiful I'd ever seen it. I was just like so blissed out. I often get that way in the forest, but there was something more about it. So there we are again, just like one with the earth, one with life, one with ourselves, one with each other. This union energy, union with all, which is ultimately, despite whatever individual personal wishes people might have, the deepest wish is just for alignment with unity, with all that is, and that being the source of pleasure. Nothing material, just alignment, just connection, communion with God, with all. Look at her. She's in ecstasy. She's a geometry. She's one with everything. So really beautiful that those messages are coming out right now. I'm going to pull a goddess card. And actually, I think I used almost all my decks, interestingly. So I might just pull from the last 3 real quick and then end it up around 45 minutes here. So goddess card. What else wants to be said? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Oshun, is that how you say her name? I think it's like a Santorini goddess. And she, so generosity. But again, look at her. She's just blissed out. She's happy. She's flowing. You know, she's flowing. She's with life. So that same message, same beautiful message of what we're moving into the sunshine. You know, she's in the light. She's encased with light. Happiness through alignment. Happiness through oneness. Happiness through unity. Happiness through, connection, simplicity, you know, the dark, all of the distractions falling away, focus. Okay, so this kind of reminds me of this. This is a focus perseverance card. It's like, yeah, this is where we're going. This is like the light at the end of the tunnel. This is the remember where we're going. Be in the moment, feel that, but also focus, because we are still in a passage. We are still, unraveling some of these energies. These energies are flying around. A lot of people are still in them unconsciously. You know, it's like my daughter and I've been thinking, it's like there's karma, and then there's service, and then there's, service through your lineage, and then service through throughout timelines, like different degrees of service, and then karma. But the people that are really just going through it because of karma, are not actually in service. They might be, developing their soul, but it can be kind of messy and almost like dangerous. So just kind of like that focus and that perseverance, and just knowing that this is like a tentative time, and kind of like what I was seeing when I was talking about the anchors and the reconfiguration. Is like what I kept getting was this kind of like just like hold steady, hold still, like there's something, there's something going on, and still kind of feeling that energy, like where it's just like kind of hold steady and stay focused, and be in service in that way, be that anchor for this light that's coming through, be interesting. Okay, grace, yeah, and that's the thing. And so after a really hard time for some of us, a lot of us, I think, a really hard time, and still for some, there is grace, and we are being supported, and we are protected the whole way through, even when we don't feel like it, even when we're meant to be held in those darker places in service. The light is still there, and that's what was interesting paired up with Erme and I. It's like, she was in this place, and I was kind of connected with this place, so I could bring her messages, and yet I would get snippets of this to be like, oh my God, this is what we're up against. Like, holy shit, like, this is really, really intense. Like, I knew about this, but to feel it and to see it, and to see what is actually wanted for humanity, to not just see it, but like feel it, and just how absolutely horrible it is. It's like, yeah, it really makes you really want to focus and know. And a lot of people have no idea. They have no idea what's actually going on. They have no idea about the spiritual battle. They don't know. And again, that's perfect, because they're anchoring in a different way. Like I said, they're providing the stability. So those of us who are doing this kind of work, can function, like people, just supporting even financially and stuff like that. And then of course the people in the light, holding the light this whole time, holding the other end of that rope, but also benefiting from the work that those of us are doing in here. We're all benefiting each other as we rise, and holding your focus, whatever part of the role you're playing is important. We have to play the role that we're playing, and know that this is, again, one movement together, because it's all one. We're one movement, remembering the oneness of who we are. Things speeding up now. So I do plan on coming on here regularly again, because we're out of, I just feel like there's not like a dark enough card on here to show, but that's not the energy anymore. We're moving out of this. So I look forward to seeing how this moves along and what comes through next time. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for all the people who held space and sent prayers and sent messages and offered services and came to our house, and just all the community support and the online support across the world through the beautiful Facebook connections that I've made, even if they're just simple, just enjoying each other's photos or inspirational memes. It's like we're soul family, and I feel you, and I know you feel me, and I want to cry. It's so touching and beautiful. So thank you. to all of you who stepped forward and held space. And so much love to you all in your journeys, and thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, and again, I am available for sessions and readings, so feel free to reach out. If you're on YouTube and you're new to me, hello and welcome, and I will put my email in the description box if you would like a private reading. So, okay, much love to you all. Bye-bye.